not available in all areas.
We've cued the music, and you know what that means. It's time for the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie Herron.
At the end of the day, what's most important is to find the car you want that meets the expectations that you need for you and your family.
And Randy Beasley.
Of course, the weekend, you got folks maybe thinking it's going to be some nice weather to get outside and peruse the car lots.
And now here they are, Louie and Randy.
All right, it's Friday, and Louie in studio with us today on Country 102. Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Are you still basking in the glow of the Dolphins win?
Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? Listen, the Dolphins have it's so funny because when I speak to kids, I think I've mentioned this before, it's so odd because a lot of times I like to bring football videos or something to kind of inspire or pump them up a little bit. And one of the videos I just have Dolphin highlight filmed. And so many kids after come up to me and says, "Man, why do you play the Dolphins? You like the Dolphins? Is this terrible?" And I'm arguing with them. And I think to myself, these kids are 14, 15, 13 years old, right? And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Over the last 10, 12, 15 years, Miami used to be what I would look at the Tampa Bay Bucks when I was growing up. You know how Tampa was so terrible?
Right.
So, yes, I still wave the aqua and orange proud, and we've had a tough run. But beating the Patriots, first game of the season, by 2 touchdowns. You don't seem as interested. You're looking at your phone. I'm talking to you like I'm excited, and you're looking down. I'm like, Randy didn't care.
No, I'm listening. I have something. I'm getting to a future point. But go ahead.
Let me just say this. Okay. So Miami was down at 20-10 at the half and won 33-20. So we put a whooping on the second half. I held Tom Brady, sacked him 2 times, caused 2 fumbles. I mean, hey, that's we'll see if Miami's for real, but I'm excited.
I was wondering if he'd be even playing this week, and how New England is with their injury report. It's always kind of sketchy, but every time I turned around, he was getting hit.
Well, the thing is the jury's still out. How good is Miami, or how bad is New England's offensive line? Of course, when you listen to ESPN radio, they talk about, they didn't say anything about Miami. They just talked about the offensive line and losing the one guy, to Tampa Bay and all this kind of stuff. So no credit for Miami yet. We play Buffalo this week. Who the Falcons got?
Well, the Falcons still this is a tough start for them. Last week was so big for them to get that win. It was so big because they go to Cincinnati this week.
If they can get that game, and I was telling somebody, I said another Falcon fan, and we both concurred. It was like, hey man, those victories for Miami and Atlanta were way bigger than we needed them more than New England and the Saints. I mean, they got good football teams. Right. They're going to bounce back. They'll be fine. They'll be in it at the end. It was way bigger for us to get our season starting off right.
Well, I had no doubt. Everybody was talking about, oh boy, I don't know about the Falcons this year. I said, look, Atlanta's going to score some points. If they keep Matt Ryan upright, they're going to score a bunch of points. They got so many weapons, but they're going to give up some points too. And it was if you didn't have a dog in that fight Sunday, you really would have enjoyed watching that game. I was sitting there just going, oh,
what a
my
game.
Gracious. But it was good stuff.
Well, Colston, he must have felt terrible fumbling that ball. I mean, because really that game is like whoever has the ball last wins. Well, and it's really,
he's got some company feeling bad. Drew Brees is great, but that interception he threw in the end zone was big too. So we get right into it on the Louie Herron weekend kickoff.
Well, don't leave us without the Bulldogs.
We're not going to. We just want to remind people why we're here. We always start your weekend off, and we get a little football in. Let's mention the high schools before we get to the colleges. Everybody is playing tonight. 2 of the local teams at home. Baldwin is hosting Tift County. GMC Prep is on the road in Macon to play Mount DeSales. And John Millage is at home tonight with Brentwood.
That's going to be,
and that is the game of the week. We'll have that here. Game. Yeah, we'll have that here on Country 102, 7:15 tonight. College tomorrow. Georgia Tech, for the first time ever, will host Georgia Southern in Atlanta.
Wow!
And that'll be on Sports Radio 1450 tomorrow, 10 a.m. pregame, noon kickoff. Georgia at South Carolina and Columbia, where they have had all sorts of problems trying to score the last few years. But big game, big matchup. Georgia and South Carolina, 3:39 kickoff tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you, Georgia, man, they look good. I mean, that whole scheme of having fresh legs and a bunch of running backs, I'll tell you, that's going to be hard to beat.
We'll see. I think we'll know a lot about them Saturday afternoon because Steve Spurrier always has something for Georgia. We'll see how it goes. There's been a lot of talk this week. I'll be glad when game starts because I'm tired of hearing the talk.
Well, it's time to get it on. But hey, we're talking about we meet every week talking about car buying, car purchases, making good decisions, saving your money, making a win-win deal, understanding dealership philosophy, and understanding how you can save money and research and all these things that we talk about. TheAutoschool.com. That's actually on the website of Louie's Lake Lot. You can actually tune in, and my media partner takes all these shows that we do, Randy and I, and they're all on there. You can go back and listen to all of them. We've got tons on there, and of course you can go to the Auto School, which has been up for almost 10 years now, and there's also TV shows of all kind of topics related to car buying. So again, I don't profess to be the professor of the automotive industry, but I can tell you I can give you a lot of great information. I've been on the inside, but I also have a heart for the customer. I understand, which is really what separated me in all my years of the car business. I've had so many people, Randy, you wouldn't find this to be a stretch, that said, "Man, you're in the wrong business, man. I mean, how you need to be a pastor or something. You need to be, literally that's what I've had several over 22 years of being in this industry. But here's what I really think. I believe with all my heart that consumers understand that dealerships need to make money. Okay, profit's not a dirty word. We're not a nonprofit organization. We don't give things away. There are times we have to, based on inventory and circumstance, and end of the year, yes. And you can capitalize on that. But ultimately, I think if you and I, Randy, can share with the consumers, what's a lease, how to work a lease, what's a certified car, what do you need to look at the Carfax? When you're buying a used car, what's important? When you're buying new, how do you shop the new? How do you get the most for your trade? This has value. And the bottom line is, if you're listening, whether you need to hear this today because you're in the market this weekend or you're not buying a car for 2 or 3 years, what I have found is everybody's interested in the car business. They want to know what's the dirt. What's the dirt? So when we come back from the break, I want to go through, if you've ever wondered why it takes 4 hours to be at a car dealership, if you really hate the back and forth, I want to go over the sales process, but I want to go over it from the consumer's perspective. But I want you to understand what goes on in the car business and what they're trying to accomplish. And you'll be surprised how much this relates to a dentist office, maybe a chiropractor, maybe the mortgage business, maybe even when you go to a doctor visit. I'm going to share some things with you that maybe you haven't thought of, but it's very similar, and you want to stay tuned and listen to some of this great information on how to buy a car.
The Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102. It's 8:22, 22 after 8, our Bobby Brown Insurance Agency time. Stay with us. We'll be back with Louie in just a moment. Here's Dierks Bentley now on Country 102.
20th at Williams Park, Highway 22 West, sponsored by the Exchange Club of Milledgeville.
This is Country 102. It's Friday morning, 8:29, 29 after 8 o'clock. Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie in studio with us today. And trying to give you some ideas, some pointers, some information. Cash is king, but information is the prince that's doing all the work. Okay?
I like that. I'll coin that phrase.
Got to get that information in hand before you go to buy a car.
Well, listen, when we're talking about buying a car, I think one of the things in the car business, and Randy, you comment to this, as soon as a consumer pulls on the lot, what do you think is running through their mind?
A little apprehension about the process.
And so why is there apprehension about the process versus going somewhere else to buy a product? What is the deal?
Well, and it may have to do with their history, how long or how many times they've actually been into situations where they and also conversations with friends about experiences they've had, and there's just over the years just an inclination that somebody's going to try to get the best of me.
Well, if you think about sports, when I talk to kids, in sports and some of the things that we go over, a lot of things that we talk about is having fear. What fear do you have when you're playing a game? What fear creeps in, whether it's physical fear, psychological fear, fear of failure, whatever the case may be. But I always tell the kids that preparation always eliminates fear. You don't get exposed when you're prepared. You think of any football game, you think when you're prepared and ready to go, fear's gone. You're not even thinking any longer. Now you're playing. If you're not prepared, you're thinking. And if you're thinking on a football field, you're going to get hurt. And I think it's very much the same when you go to a car dealership. Preparation eliminates all the fear. People have a high level of anxiety and fear based on their past experience. And if they don't get any better at buying a car or they don't do any research before they buy a car, the fear is going to be there. In my opinion, being on the inside of the business, but also educating others that are on the outside buying a car, really and truly, I know the process inside and out at a car dealership. if you're knowledgeable and you've done research, it really does not matter what part of the process goes on. You shouldn't have the fear and anxiety, because at any given time, you've got the biggest weapon alive, and that's your feet. If you don't feel comfortable, nothing's adding up, it doesn't measure up to what your expectations are, you leave. You're not held hostage. You always have that as a consumer, and the dealer with the competitive car industry, they don't want you to leave. Especially if you're in the market to buy, whether it's this week, this weekend, or this month, or today, they don't want you to leave. They want to do whatever they can to put the best foot forward. So, when you look at buying a car, I think what people don't want to do, and you agree or disagree, they don't like going back and forth.
No,
they don't like spending 4 hours at a car dealership.
No,
right, and they want to make sure that if they had their way, they would get the information they need, come back, okay, when they're ready to buy the car, and do it then versus trying to be wrangled and do it today. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so if we're looking at the sales process from my vantage point, my focus would be is how do you save time, save the money, and reduce a lot of that back and forth. So the first thing I will talk about is the pivotal meet and greet process. Now, I can go through steps. I'm not going to label these steps, but I'm just going to take segments of this and see how much we can get through. But in the meet and greet stage, there's a couple things that go on. Customer pulls on the lot. And there's two type of customers in this world. The first customer is, I've been out here 3-4 minutes, no one's greeted me. Mm-hmm. And then there's another customer that pulls up and says, "Look, I've been out here 45 seconds and I'm getting hounded." Right. So as the
fine line, yes.
Yeah, right. So as the dealership, what is the perfect time? Randy, if you own a car dealership and you have 15 sales associates, what would be your philosophy when a consumer pulls on the lot for them to be greeted and in a timely manner and not being bombarded? What would you suggest?
Well, it's hard to come up with that number, because some people get to they want to walk around for 5 or 10 minutes, and other people, if they don't have somebody like you said in there in 3 minutes, they're going, well, okay, I'm being ignored. I think 4 or 5 minutes at least. Let me, and especially if you see me looking more toward the building than toward the vehicles. Right, that's a pretty good key that I'm ready to talk to somebody. If you see me going down the line and looking really closely, then maybe I need a few more minutes.
Well, and that's the first tip I would tell you is that the salespeople, there's no sticker on someone's forehead that says "Greet me in 30 seconds," "Greet me in a minute." There's none that says "Leave me alone for 5 minutes. I'm just looking." You don't know. So I've dealt with many consumers that have physically, as we try to strike a balance, even at the lake lot, you want to strike a balance when someone pulls up. When they pull up, are they heading to the inventory? Are they coming inside the building to look for somebody, or are they, you don't know the answer, but what you do know is that you have a responsibility to make sure the consumer's greeted in a timely manner, greeted professionally, and kind of go through that part of the process. You don't really know, and that creates that issue. So the first thing I would tell everyone that's listening is understand that the salespeople, whether there's 3 people standing outside or whether you don't see anybody, and you'll get both. I'm telling you, on a Saturday morning, you'll get 8 guys outside. 8 guys and men and women outside, sales associates. They're looking. It's game day. It's Saturday, right? We realize people shop all week. Work all week rather, and then they take their time to look at a car. So the propensity of buying an automobile on Saturday is typically higher than a Tuesday. Okay, to get a deal today, and you have to understand as a consumer, salespeople are trained that again they only eat when they sell something. So their mind is they're trying to make a sale today. That's their goal, and I think everyone knows that. The key is are they coming across abrasive to get the deal done? Are they trying to get to the bottom before we even really do the process correctly? Like, for example, if you go into a doctor's office, okay, what's the first thing you do? You walk into the office. What's the first thing you do?
First thing I do when I walk in a doctor's office, I usually go up to a window and sign in.
There you go. You sign in. You check in, right? Mm-hmm. Now everyone's aware that you're there, okay? And then, you're not feeling well. You want to see the doctor, but unfortunately, their process is you don't see a doctor first. They call you in. They put you in a room for about 5 minutes. All right, 3 minutes later, someone comes in. It's a nurse. She's going to take vitals. She's going to check your blood pressure. She's going to do this. She's going to ask you a couple of questions. You don't feel well. You're ready to see a doctor. You want to see the doctor, but you haven't seen the doctor yet. She fills out a little chart, puts the chart in the window, puts the chart outside the door. They shut the door. Another 5 minutes, and finally the doctor walks in. The point is there's a process in everything that we do in the car dealerships is very similar. That we don't want to commit sales malpractice. You wouldn't have a nurse come in and see you in 2 minutes and say, you know what, based on what you told me, let me give you this prescription for antibiotics. It'll clear this cough up. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. There's some huge liability there. I think salespeople commit sales malpractice all the time. And what I mean by that is they try to prescribe what a customer needs before even really getting any information from the customer of letting them share with us what they're looking for, what their needs are. Here's the sticky part. When you meet and greet a customer, you've got 2 or 3 minutes to kind of meet and greet, build a little rapport. They don't like you anyways. They don't want to be there. If they could do it without you, they would. That's my belief. I believe if a customer could buy a car without the dealership, they would.
Like a vending machine,
If they could do it on the internet and get everything done and find a way to they would. And you know what? Based on the years of experience in the automotive world, I don't blame them. I mean, it's you got to go through that stuff. But refer back to even like a doctor's office. You need to make sure that you're actually listening to the customer, and you got to go through that second step, which would be the needs analysis. And we'll come back and go over that because I want to go over those questions. And some of those questions customers hate, and I think there's a different way to do it. But I don't run every dealership in the country. But I want to share those with you and hopefully help you out.
Well, my one point for all car salespeople. Don't put your hand on my car handle before I put my car in park. That's a little quick, okay?
That is fast.
Country 102, Louie Herron weekend kickoff, 8:37, 73 degrees. Good morning. It looks like we got a pretty good chance that we'll see some showers and thunderstorms, not all the time, but scattered over the next several days. But maybe some milder weather coming. Looks like maybe mid-80s next week. I think I even saw where we could have low 60s midweek, maybe for a low. So maybe fall is coming, officially about 10 days away. 74 degrees now at 8:42. This is the Louie Herron weekend kickoff with Louie in studio with us today. And we're trying to give you some ammunition, some good ideas, and also some good tactics. And of course, theautoschool.com. Don't forget that. There's a lot of stuff there. We talk about stuff, but if you miss some of this, it's there. And also, there's a lot of other information for you.
Yeah, you can go to louieslakelot.com and find the auto school there, too, if it's easier for you. But I'll tell you, so we were talking about questions, and we were talking about meeting customers and how fast do you meet them. And so you as soon as we got off the air, you had like a little remark just about salespeople. Go share that with. We were talking about questions they ask and so forth.
Well, this has been a long time ago, but I actually had, and it wasn't like my car was still moving, but I mean, before you really felt like you were out of the vehicle, I had a car dealer ask me if I was going to trade today.
Right.
And
isn't that nice? Or
if they,
you don't even know my name, and I'm trading today. I mean, just call me. I'm trading today. That's my name.
And I know. My uncle always told this story about always getting asked, well, are you going to pay cash or finance? And he just never understood why that needed to be the first question.
Well, and again, I think if you look at relationships, I think the key to relationships, let's take spousal relationships. I think in communicating, it's time and tone. The right time to say something and what's your tone, right? And at least that's what I try to remember, and I mess that up all the time. But I think the same thing even with salespeople. It's timing. Timing when you ask the questions. It's the tone. It's that expectancy. Where you just met somebody and you're asking them, if the deal's right, you ready to do some business today? I mean, in the way that it's asked, I mean, it just throws a customer right back into 7 years ago when they bought their last car and they felt like they got screwed, basically, mm-hmm. right? And that's what I don't understand from a salesperson perspective and even a managerial perspective, educating the sales team on how to approach a customer, how to deal with a family, how to deal with women when they're buying cars. All these things are so vital. I mean, we know who makes decisions in families. Women control, 75% of decision-making process. Nobody focuses on that. They got kids that come up. They don't shake the kid's hand, right? It's like they don't, it's like, and again, I'm not even talking about putting on a show. I'm just talking about being respectful of your surroundings and having the understanding of what the ultimate goal is. A consumer's here to potentially buy an automobile. The end result for the salesperson is to make a sale. So what is the best way to do that is to communicate and really, get with everybody in the party and understand, the timing of these questions. So as we were talking about, your meet and greet, here's a tip for you. One of the biggest things you could do as a consumer is take the time to go through what we call inside the business the needs analysis period, right? And the consumer will probably call this the interrogation period, right? This is where the consumer is asked, how much money down, what do you want to pay per month? That's not what I'm talking about. I have taught for years my salespeople, I don't care about the money. I do want to know eventually, right? Because we're gonna need to know. It's like buying a house or buying at some point we're good. But right now, all I'm worried about is why are they here? What has changed? Who are they buying the car for? What brought them to us? Why do they have trust in our dealership? Thank them for that. Have an understanding of, do they need 3 rows, 2 rows? What is safety more important than performance? Do you like the luxury more important than convenience? These are the questions so we can work together to get to the end result. Now, I realize as a consumer listening to me say, well, that sounds good, Louie. That sounds great, and I would love to do that, but I don't trust that the more information I give, the bigger pickle I put myself in later. Go back to what I said earlier about the football team. If you're prepared, there shouldn't be any fear. If you've done the research, shouldn't be any fear. If anything else, if you've done what you need to and you're prepared, now the salesman better be on his A game, because you probably know more than he knows. If he's not a professional and you start asking questions about the automobiles that are available to sale, whether it's a new car or used, and he does not know, listen, we do this every day of our life. Like a policeman goes to work every single day, construction worker, a teacher, they better know their business. And I think the same thing for us as salespeople. We better know our product. We better know when a consumer asks the questions, I tell my guys all the time, I'm telling you, these folks are getting very smart, and they probably know more about the deal, the car they want, than you do. And when you fluff them and give them some BS answer, or you don't know, or you've got to say, I'm not sure, but I'll check with that. Yes, that's respectful. But how many times do you, because at some point when you say, I'm not sure, but I'll check with my manager, you might as well let me talk to the manager, because you don't know very much. So let me just, before we go to break, just reiterate the value of slowing down and not being nervous for a sales representative, for you guys to sit down, have a cup of coffee, maybe something cold to drink, get out of the elements. 5 minutes. It literally, what a consumer wants to do is they want to walk the lot and see what you got, and that's fine. And if you need to do that, please do that. But at some point, before you make a selection of a car, if you want to talk about saving time means letting the sales rep know, look, here's what I'm doing. My daughter's graduated. I promised her a car. Here's what I want. I want an SUV. I want it safe. I don't want to spend more than $15,000. She knows exactly what she wants, but I've narrowed it down to these 3 cars. What do you have in your inventory that meets this expectation? The customer has just relayed to the salesperson exactly what they need to do to put a deal together, whether it's today, whether it's this weekend, or whether it's next month. If you've got the product, you've got the right deal, and you treat them with the respect they deserve, and they get the feeling and the trust in you to do business with you and your store. Does that make sense, Randy?
Yes.
And salespeople immediately go off to what you want to pay a month, how much down you got. Yeah. You ready to do it today? If I can make it sweet enough. Right. I mean, customers don't want to hear that 1970 stuff. I mean, it's the way it is.
Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff, back with Louie in just a moment. 75 degrees at 8:49 at Country 102. Here's Brad Paisley. Country 102, WKZR, 75 degrees now at 8:52. Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie in studio today. We're talking about the process, about what's some of the things that you don't want to have to do when you are buying a car, and some ways to get around that, and also some information that you need. Are you going to get to go to a Dolphins game this year? Just slip that in on you.
You know what? I typically go to 3 or 4, but I'm doing some coaching and stuff, and I'm trying to get the lake lot up and going, and I've been a little busier than normal, believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy, you own a Toyota dealership, but the Toyota store had a lot of stuff in place after 5 years. I mean, so it actually had a little more freedom in that capacity. But yes, to answer your question, I told my kids that we would go to a Dolphin game, so I got to go to one Dolphin game. I like to go to one boys game, but Mama gives me a little grief sometimes on that. We actually got a deal though. We got a deal. We go to one game, Louie and a couple of buddies, and because you go to South Florida, you're going to have a good time,
Sure.
And then we go to a family game, and so. But anyways, yeah, I'm trying. You going to go to a Falcon game?
After beating, I don't know. I haven't been in a couple of years, but it's always a blast. And with
you don't get tickets.
You'd have to leave now to get to a Falcons game if it was this Sunday with the parking downtown right now.
Yeah, it is. Without a parking pass, it is a drag.
It's awful.
But you don't get many tickets for Falcons.
No,
you need to hook that up, buddy.
Not many. I will be at the area in a couple of weeks. I am going to go see Garth Brooks. So
you're going to make that trip? I don't blame you.
My wife told me I was going to make that trip.
I'd like to see old Brad. I love that song.
Yeah, that is a good song. All right, let's get back to it, and we've been talking about some very interesting stuff about the process and about what you expect or what you would like to happen when you go to a car dealer.
Well, I was like you and I were talking off air. I'll tell you, if there's salespeople that are listening right now, if it were me, what a golden opportunity, because there are so many salespeople that are in the automotive world that are still living in the 80s and still doing things the same old way. And I believe in my heart, like you and I talked, I don't think Miss Johnson comes into the store and then she leaves you and she goes to another store, and then she leaves someone and then leaves that person and goes to another store. And I don't believe that if you treat customers like I was suggesting earlier, as a salesperson, forget buying today. I'd forget even buying today. My philosophy is if a customer comes on the lot, I already assume they're buying. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they're already buying. So it's not my job to make sure the customer's committed. It's my job to make sure I'm committed, to do the things that I'm supposed to do to make sure they get the best experience. So when they go see Fred down at the other store, they go, oh my gosh, I wouldn't do business with Fred. I'm going to see Louie. That would be my goal. I realize that. Look, the statistic has never changed. You at 10 people walk on the lot, you're going to get 18%. 20% at best. 1.8 to 2 people buy today. That means 80% is going home, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think they're sitting at the kitchen counter, at the kitchen table talking with the family saying, well, let's go back to that guy that treated us, terrible, at XYZ store? No. They're sifting through all their decisions, and I realize the deal may have something to do with it and money has something to do with it, but I promise you, if they got a price that was better than yours, but you were the better salesperson, I promise you, in my heart, I believe the consumer will call you back and say, look, I want to do business with you, but here's where we're at on the deal. Work with me a little bit more. I want to do business with you. They want to do business with someone they can trust and someone they can deal with, and so I think it's a huge opportunity for salespeople. So we're talking about the fact-finding stage. Okay, so my tip for you is be prepared so you eliminate the fear. What I mean by that is take the time to sit with the salesperson and tell them, look, here is what I would like to do. And I believe that if you get in an environment where you're sitting down, if you're doing it when you're walking the lot, and I don't know that all the questions can be answered. Very much so, like if you're visiting with a doctor or you're visiting with a mortgage broker or a real estate agent, you don't stand by your car and do that outside. You go inside, you slow down a minute. And I know consumers are like, Louie, when I go inside, bad things happen. And I got 5 people come and talk to me, and all I want to do is look at a car. I understand. I really, really get it. But what I'm saying to you is that if you will sit there and you're prepared and you tell John the salesperson, listen, Bubba, here's what I would like to do. Here's the reason why I'm here. Here's what I'm going to do. And if a consumer says, hey, look, I'm buying in a week or I'm buying in a month, or you may know you're buying today. To me as a salesperson, it's irrelevant. All I want to make sure that if you're looking for the third row, the SUV, the safe car for the daughter, and you want it to be about 5 years old and you want to spend about $12,000, I'm on the hunt for what you want. And if I don't have that, yes, as a salesperson, I'm going to do my best to say, look, I don't have exactly what you want, but for $2,000 more, I've got 2 years newer, but it's got a third row, it's just as safe, and it's right here. Now it's back in the consumer's lap. They can make that choice, but as a salesperson, it's my job to offer alternatives, to show them what I have if I don't have what they need, and if I don't have what they need, it's my job to stay with the guest and say, look, I'll get you what you need, and have that impression. So I think that's a very, very important thing.
Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff. We're going to be back one more time with Louie in just a few minutes. Country 102, WKZR Milledgeville, 75 degrees right now at 8:57.
.com for yours today.
Country 102, 902, 76 degrees back one more time with Louie Herron, the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff. And remind everybody about high school tonight, Brentwood at John Millage, our game of the week, 7:15 airtime on Country 102. Also tonight, Baldwin hosting Tiff County, GMC Prep in Macon to play Mount DeSales. and good luck to all the local teams tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about the sales process and how I getting you a little more acclimated and understanding what the dealership's focus is above and beyond selling a car, obviously. And we didn't get through much, so next week we're gonna finish it up because we still got to get to negotiating, Randy. That'll be good for them to hear, and just that whole part of that process. We never really got past the meet and greet and kind of the needs assessment area, but I do want to share with everybody, if you're in the market for a car, check us out at the lake. Again, we're right on the edge of Putnam and Greene County, next to the Pyramid, right across from Crow Marina, right there, and then probably the major intersection we have there, in Greene and Putnam County. Come check us out. If you can't make the drive, go to louieslakelot.com. We have got all makes and models, 60 cars on the ground with about 15 or 20 always cycling in. All cars with a 4-month warranty at no cost to you. Plus, we've got a money-back guarantee. So, and we'll start, we're going to crank back up rentals again, Randy. So we're going to get rentals going in the next month. We had a lot of calls. Are we still renting cars? We got to get the insurance set up for that to do it properly, but that's coming down the pipe. And I would always tell folks, be a fan of Louie's Lake Lot. Just grab your phone, Facebook, Louie's Lake Lot. We post a lot of different specials there. I'll tell you, I had this situation yesterday. I had a lady call me. Okay, she called me in a panic, very, very upset that her husband was going through some illnesses, and she needed a car right away. And she was specific with a Crown Victoria or a Lincoln. It was specific that she wanted. And I got the call, I took the information down, got with my buyer, we were able to locate a car and deliver that car the same day. She was in tears, so excited. My point is we locate cars. We'll again. I'm at the lot. So I mean, again, like I say on the when we're talking on the radio. I mean, the deal will be sweet. We've only got 2-3 people to pay. Overhead is low. And we're looking every day for deals. I mean, we've been selling 30 cars a month, trying to get to 40 cars a month, trying to get to 50 cars a month. And again, it's one deal at a time. So anybody that goes to louieslakelot.com or calls 706-991-1900, we're very grateful, very thankful, and we'll do our very best to put our best foot forward. We'll locate something. If we don't have it, we can find it. We do it all the time with no deposit required.
All right, so Louie Herron this weekend, I'm going to go by and see him. Remember, near the Pyramid on Lake Oconee Parkway. Yep. Easy to get to. Go by and see Louie, and you'll be there today, tomorrow.
That's it. And you can always go to louieslakelot.com. Check out what we have. If you're in Milledgeville and you don't want to make the drive, check us out online. And I will tell you, I will guarantee our price points are more aggressive than anybody in the marketplace. I mean, we our cars are priced right. We do our best to kind of one price them, so there's eliminates the back and forth, which we'll talk about next week. We'll talk about why that happens and what that's all about. So tune in next week, same channel, same time.
All right, have a good weekend.
Take care, buddy.
Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102 WKZR. Everybody have a great weekend.